As I talk to you, it's here, Wednesday, May 13th, and I am continuing the proud American tradition of vlogging in athletic wear from the front seat of a vehicle, only it's not Under Armour, it's not a truck. It'll have to do. I'm here waiting for curbside pickup from the Buff restaurant, and if things have gone to plan, I'm putting this video out on May 18th, which I guess is next Monday. That will be notably 1 year since my last video. My trial of reduced pricing for Creative Cloud just expired, and also I presumably will have just committed to going month to month on my lease here. Oh, and it will also have been 1 year since I started my SSRI. I didn't make any videos in the meantime, so I've decided to try to put this together as, you know, a summary of what I might have put on this channel the last year if I'd done that.
So following on the fairly warm reception of my first video, I thought, let's do a prompt follow-up. I went to the FDA website, I read up on the clinical trials of this medication, I learned about some dead dogs they never really followed up on, and I got to work making a new video. Racemic, RS 1,3-dimethylaminopropyl, 1,4-fluorophenol, 1,3-dihydroisobenzofuran, 5-carbonitrile. Citalopram to its friends, Celexa if you're nasty. Is a mega hyped splayed out knobby boy, designed to look enough like this dude that it fits in here, and less so here, but not so much like these dudes that it fits in here. Inter alia. It was created in Denmark in 1972 by this guy. Now the problem with this video is that it sucked. It was boring, and it was boring to make, and so I gave up.
Meanwhile,
if you look at my sent emails of this period, I was trying to deal with depression, such as it was, in 3 ways. First, I was investigating job opportunities that were a little further afield, literally or metaphorically. By the time I posted my first video, I'd actually already been rejected from Ableton. I was still taking the AMP program at KMG, and I thought it would be cool to make that more of what my life was about. I was disappointed that hadn't worked out, but I was trying another thing. I was going to be a full-time technical instructor. As I said in my first video, writing code is not my favorite thing to do, and I thought maybe there were better ways for me to leverage my knowledge. But with both Develop Intelligence and with Ableton, in fact, the complaint was basically that my communication style was too self-centered, or perhaps really too presentational. I needed to be better at engaging students, better at engaging coworkers in a feedback process of learning. As this relates to depression and sort of the journey of the last year, it has to deal a lot with something that we're all getting pretty familiar with recently, which is isolation. For better or worse, when I moved to Boulder in 2018, I moved away from everyone I knew. I kind of wanted to reinvent myself. I kind of wanted to explore who I was when I was taken out of a familiar context. And I'm really not sure what the answer is. I'm not sure it worked. I have been alone a lot, but I don't know that I've actually gotten any better at being alone. And in this time, I was spending a lot of time alone because Microsoft's Boulder office was closed for renovations. I tried to get back into CrossFit at the third gym du jour here in Boulder, but it didn't really take. At this point, either because of the extra loneliness from coworkers and or just because it was when Second Sky was scheduled, I fortunately got to go visit some friends on the West Coast and on the East Coast. Pretty much from when I got back, I did not bother trying to go to the gym again. Now, if you do the math, you might realize this is about the point where the SSRI should start working. And definitely maybe. I put out some job apps for some places in San Francisco, none of which worked out. I started sort of having a social life, which I'll talk about more later. And I also tried to make a YouTube video again.
not a doctor. Shh.
Oh shit, what up? It's that bug boy. He's gone a second, but I'm back. Got sunburnt in the East Bay. Got soundburnt in the Far East Bay. Saw a couple cool shows in Colorado. Played a less cool show in Colorado. Bought a beanbag chair.
Spin a futon sum on this thriller mic in this magic box.
Used them to make this. It then proceeds into the video I tried to make a week after my first video. And as it turns out, that video was still boring, and I still didn't want to finish it. So about this social life. July 17th started like many another Wednesday. I probably did my job, but like, who remembers? But come 7 p.m., I headed over to the Twisted Pine Brewing Company for Geeks Who Drink Trivia. Now, this is a thing I've done a lot while I've lived here. I usually played alone at the bar, as was the case this day. And usually I don't really much talk to anybody. Like, I'm friendly with a couple of the staff, but, you know, it's a trivia game. People are worried about cheating and, you know, want to talk to their friends they're there with. And now, I don't know if it's because I happened to do the trivia at the beer garden the day before for the first time and was commensurately trivia'd out, or if it's just by happenstance that there were a couple playing next to me, but we got to talking, and in the throes of drunken trivia madness, I proposed to them that if they were down to go with me, I would pay for a lift to go to karaoke at the dive bar down the street, where, by the way, I had never been before. And confusingly, they agreed. And while I was there, I met another dude who had recently moved to town and talked to a couple other people, and before long, I'd recruited a trivia teammate and a team, and we'd sometimes go to karaoke after, and for a while, I did stuff. But only for a while, it turns out.
Meanwhile,
on August 2nd, I met with a dude from a local startup about a job. That conversation regarding that job didn't go anywhere, but in passing, he informed me that the international conference for technology I was interested in, ElixirConf, was coming to town in just a few weeks. So I took this as my cue to finally read some ebooks like Elixir in Action, which I'd bought in December of 2018, as well as the 2 Pragmatic Bookshelf books, which I bought shortly after the meeting. This is remarkable insofar as it's relevant to this channel, not because of the technology, not because of how it led to a new job, but merely because I was able to do this. I was able to read ebooks. I was able to find something interesting. And that was proof positive that the SSRI was working. But anyway, so I went to ElixirConf. I met some people. I drank a 40. I applied for some jobs. Took some pretty brief trips to San Francisco and Boston/Providence, and I ended up taking one of those jobs. I also joined a new gym. I stopped going to karaoke because I was working at 8 a.m. And yeah, I was pretty much in a routine. I was finding it challenging to work with a timesheet, but overall things were going well, and I was thinking about the next steps. I was going to maybe take advantage of the fact that my job was remote and think about maybe living on the road.
Then everything changed when the
SARS coronavirus 2
attacked.
Except for me personally, I think it actually started about a month before that when I injured my foot. This disrupted my exercise routine. It made it harder to sleep. It made it harder to work. And it kind of started a bit of a downward spiral that I haven't quite gotten out of yet. And obviously the whole pandemic hasn't helped either. On balance, quarantine has been more social for me as I hook back up with friends on the West and East Coast via Zoom. I started seeing a dietitian and a specialist therapist shortly after my 30th birthday. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I've gotten into pour over coffee and displaying my vinyl like a good hipster cliche. But yeah, I feel like my mental health has been slipping a bit. I feel like I could use a change of scenery, but circumstances make that unwise. I feel like it might be worth trying out some different medications, and I feel like it's been an up and down year. But it was just 1 year, and here begins another. Maybe this one will have YouTube videos in it. Subscribe and find out.